Hello everyone, this is Kevin from the Super Dharma Bros. And today we are going to do an episode of Express Buddhism that looks into the importance of friendship. So listen to our intro song for a little bit and the discussion will be started.
Now, what I suggest you do is this. Have yourself seated with your backs as straight as possible, but not stiff. Now see how you feel. Don't put words on it. Just feel. But if you can't help words running...
So, tonight, because it is night when I'm recording this, I'm going solo, and I'm going to talk about friendship and the importance of friendship, not only in the monastic life, if that's the direction we want to go, but also in our everyday lives as a lay practitioner or someone who looks to Buddhism for spiritual inspiration. So I don't know if you all know this, but I think that this is true, that in our lives, one of the most important and influential choices that we make is who we allow into our circle of friends. And in Buddhism, the importance of that decision is also of paramount importance. For the monastics, good friendship provides an environment to deepen their understanding of the teachings, and also an environment to practice things such as goodwill, compassion, and mutual joy. After all, you don't want to have a friend that makes you angry, irritated, and you want to strangle them. Similarly, for the lay person, good friendship provides a safety net for when times get tough. Not only do I mean like financially, like, Chris, can I borrow $20? But also for emotional support. And one of the things that really helped me through when my father passed away earlier this year was that friendship that I had, not only with Chris, but with other people that I've interacted with in the past. So I want to examine a little bit of what the Pali Canon says about friendship, not only for the monastic life, but also for lay life. So if you're not aware, the Pali Canon is it's a big collection of texts for the Theravada school of Buddhism, which is more traditional. And it's called the tradition of the elders because Thera means elder and Vada means path. So it's path of the elders. Or you can go with the very demeaning phrase, and that's just my opinion, of Hinayana, which means the lesser vehicle. And as much as I would love to get into that right now, I am going to stick with the friendship theme because I think that'll be more productive. So let's look first at the monastic life. So I want to become a monk. How do I determine, who would be a good friend for me when I go into this sort of monastic lifestyle? Well, the Buddha puts this as paramount importance because in the Samyutta Nikaya 45.2, the Venerable Ananda says to the Buddha, half the holy life is good friendship. And the Buddha says, stop right there. I mean, he doesn't say that, but basically it's like, stop right there. That's not true. It is the whole of the holy life, 100%. That being, the whole of the holy life is good friendship, good companionship, and camaraderie. I hope I said that right in English. And it's the whole of the holy life. And the reason is because having good associations leads to the development and cultivation of the Eightfold Path, which, if you listen to our episodes previously, the Eightfold Path is the path to the cessation of suffering, of dukkha. And so that's great. And that's what you join the monastic life for, to work toward that goal without the hindrances of the lay life. And it's sort of like the Buddhist form of liberation. And so having a friend that leads us that direction as a monk, that's like the greatest treasure you could ever get. But we have to look at, what qualifies as a noble friend in a holy life? And the Buddha addresses this in the Anguttara Nikaya 7:37. He basically says that there are 7 qualities to look for in a noble friend. The person is pleasing and agreeable, so not trying to be divisive and not trying to harbor ill will toward people. This person is respected. This person is esteemed. The person is a speaker of good advice. The person is a person that endures patiently when spoken to, because as a monastic, talk is supposed to be to a minimum. Is the person someone who gives deep talks? And a deep talk would mean that they have a better understanding of the teachings. And is this a person that does not tell you to do what is wrong? So it tells you what to avoid when it comes to wrong livelihood, wrong speech, wrong action, and point you toward right action, right livelihood, right speech, etc. In other words, a good friend in a holy life is one who encourages others to stay on the path to spiritual progression. And may I also add that that person has to be working towards spiritual progression too, or else that takes a little bit away from their respect and esteem. So that's like the summary version for the monastic life. But what about lay people such as myself or Chris or anyone else who identifies as Buddhist, as a lay Buddhist? Well, the Buddha covers that too. He states in the Anguttara Nikaya 736 that there are 7 things that we should look for, 7 qualities that we should look for and to associate with a person that's going to be a really good friend for us. And that's a person that gives what is hard to give. They do what is hard to do. They patiently endure what is hard to endure. They reveal their secrets to you. They keep your secrets. They do not forsake you when you are in trouble. And they do not roughly despise you in misfortune. So, like if Chris is like, man, I'm in jail because whatever reason it is, he got caught with his his bow in his car, or he played his minor god role and set something on fire. To not roughly despise him would just be like, okay, man, it's cool. I understand the situation. I'll bail you out. And to roughly despise him would be like, you're an idiot. What were you thinking? Why do you always do everything so wrong? And that's counterproductive. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't want a friend that does that. So those are 7 qualities that the Buddha states we should look for as lay people in a friend. And the Buddha also advises us to have good friends who are virtuous, so they practice virtuous actions. They are faithful, not only to their own faith, but to people. They practice morality. They are generous and wise. Now, mind you, wisdom comes with age, so someone may not have wisdom at the start, but they may develop it. So something to keep in mind. And also, this person encourages their friends to develop those qualities. And he also notes that we should avoid evil friends because they are a source of dissipation of wealth. So it's okay if you have a friend that's like, hey, let's go to casino once a year. But if your friend is saying, hey, let's go to casino every day, maybe we need to take a step back from that person. Now, the Buddha also had this really long conversation with a layperson, a Brahmin, in the Digha Nikaya 31, and it was about the directions. So the westerly direction, the easterly, southerly, northern direction, the nadir, and the zenith. So in all directions. And so the friends cover the north direction. And so I'm taking Chris and I as an example here. So my obligations, according to this text, are to Chris, give gifts, use kind words, look after Chris's welfare, treat Chris like myself, and keeping my word to Chris. those all seem pretty straightforward. And he's asking me in the notes, where are my gifts? And I respond with, would you like a worldly material gift, or would you like a spiritual dharma gift? I can't really give you one until I know that much. And essentially, he and I, we both are gifts that keep on giving, because we're always talking about something spiritual and things that we reflect on. And I think that's the gift that keeps on giving. So, Chris, I think what you're trying to tell me is you really want to be reborn because you want gifts. And I have to suggest, as a fellow Buddhist practitioner, that you work on reducing that desire. Because I don't want you to be reborn in Avicii, which is the lowest Buddhist hell ever, and because you have this clinging to gifts. So I highly suggest that you look at that and be like, do I really need a material gift? Or are these spiritual gifts enough? But here's the thing, it's got to be reciprocated. So I had those sort of obligations to Chris, but Chris also has obligations to me. And his obligations would be looking after me when I'm inattentive, being a refuge for me when I'm afraid, which sometimes happens, not deserting me when I'm in trouble. So if I get in jail and he says, you're screwed, that's not fulfilling his obligation. And showing concern for my family. So asking how my family's doing. I don't have any children, but if I had children, it'd be like, how are your children doing? Is there anything y'all need? And so it's a reciprocal process. So if Chris considers me a friend, he has the same obligations. Give gifts, use kind words, look after my welfare, treat me like himself, and keeping his word to me. And I also have those same obligations, looking after Chris when he's inattentive, being a refuge for Chris when he is afraid, not deserting Chris when he is in trouble, showing concern for Chris's family. To my knowledge, he doesn't have any children, but if he does have children in the future, that would be included in that sort of obligation. So it's a reciprocal thing. And if it's not a reciprocal relationship, just like any kind of relationship, then it's something we got to take a step back and be like, is this really helping us? So, speaking of that, where are my gifts at, Chris? But like I said, I consider, his gift of friendship and his gift as a Dharma bro as the gift that keeps on giving. So if he sends me something through the mail, that's great. But if he doesn't, that's great too. Just my 2 cents on that. So when we look at these and we sort of analyze them a little bit, we think that, many of these values, and this is true for some of the suttas, are a product of the time and place that the Buddha lived in. However, we look at these values even now, and many of them are still very applicable and desirable today when we look for a friend. For example, I find it hard to believe that anyone keeps a friend that cannot keep a secret. But I think all of us would love a friend who does not abandon us when we fall into misfortune. And Chris makes a very valid point in the notes, saying that something else that we might want to look into when we consider friendship is, will this friend call us out when something is astray and correct that or direct it or talk it out, explain their reasoning? And, as it sort of like the reciprocal process, taking that input and responding to that criticism reflectively. If I speak slower, it usually comes out okay. And Chris, quote, I can't say reflectively, gracefully, and graciously. So taking that criticism and, sort of internalizing it, asking the appropriate questions. So I think that's a very valid point. And I'm sort of like my mother. It's like if I'm doing something wrong, or I ask your opinion about something and I say, hey, don't hold back. Please don't. Please actually tell me what you think. And if that means you think I'm a jerk and you tell me that, then that's fantastic. I'm glad that we got that out of the way. Why do you think that? Okay, these are things I need to work on. It's something that's difficult, but it's not difficult if you train yourself that way. And I've sort of been trained that way because of my 4 terms with AmeriCorps, where basically everything was reflection upon our service. So it's easier for me because I sort of was trained in it, but it takes some time for someone who, gets angry when they're criticized. Take a deep breath, try not to take it personal, reflect upon it. So when it comes to friendship, ultimately, what does it come down to? Ultimately, it comes down to this. Is the person, that being your friend, bringing out the best qualities in you? Do they bring out generosity? Do they bring out those virtuous qualities in you, or do they not do that? So that's obviously a very interesting and difficult question to ask. But if the answer is yes, they bring out the best qualities in me, that would be a good friend. But if there are friends that bring out the dark side in you, and it affects your life in a negative direction, I'm always stressed, I'm anxious, I'm nervous, then maybe it's better to take a step back and say, I know you, we're acquaintances, and that's about it. And it might be hurtful if it comes to you actually have to tell the person that, but we're looking at not only your short-term benefit, but for your long-term benefit as well. Because association with evil friends or people that don't live up to the virtuous moral qualities, it does reflect on us too by association. So just keep that in mind. So I guess the overriding theme of this whole talk is that we need to choose our friends wisely, because they can contribute to our well-being and quality of life in a positive way, or conversely, take us down a path we may not wish to travel. Therefore, we need to be mindful of our relationships when it comes to our friends, and take action when needed, when we start realizing that maybe we're starting to go down a path we don't really want to go down. So that's all I really wanted to say about friendship. And in a future episode, Chris is going to cover deeper relationships. So that's girlfriend, wife, fiance, that type of situation, because he has far more experience with that than I do, because I've been single the past 5 years, going on 6 years, and I haven't had a lot of intimate relationships because I have problems with having intimate relationships. It's sort of just been my MO. I'm trying to change my MO, but it's not easy when it's a stable personality trait. All right, so I want everyone to please take care of themselves and tune in next time for the Super Dharma Bros. Take care, everyone.
With your backs as safe as possible, but not stiff. Don't put words on it. But if you can't help words running in your head, don't interfere.